It's a hot time in Florida. I'm going to show you video of the Lynn Haven meeting. I don't even know if it's ended yet. But the parts I want to talk about, I believe, have ended. I haven't even seen the results. I did see the vote on whether or not to censure City Manager Vicky Gaynor. I did see that. So I know that result, but I do not know the result of the Ricky Ramie discussion. But I saw, as I was scanning through, I saw Commissioner Jamie Warwick, who is the only one up there at the moment with full integrity, in my opinion. Anyway, you're going to see the argument he lays out, and it looks like he's bringing, searching for a word, I'm thinking of a word, facts. All right, I want to show that to you. First, let's thank our sponsors, and we're going to get right to, I'll show you Finch. I'll show you James Finch's comments to the commission first, right after this.
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that could mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Saulene, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
All right, here we go, right to it. And I'm going to tell you something. I was there. I got great pictures from the back. Full, very full, giant meeting room in the new Taj Mahal in Lynn Haven. And he only has 3 minutes. And it is so authentic and it is so raw. And you can hear at the end, I've talked to James Finch a lot since I met him about 2 years ago covering the case. I'd never met him before that. I met him in the courtroom. And quite frankly, I've been tremendously impressed with him. I've seen how he deals with his employees when he's sick. First of all, he never tells anybody. When he's worried as hell because the feds and Sheriff Ford were trying to throw him in prison for the rest of his life. And I've always been so impressed by the way he treats people, no matter what he's going through. And I vetted him. I mean, his reputation precedes him. I thought for sure he would have been guilty of some of the stuff that they said, but he wasn't. And quite frankly, he loaned the city money on a 30-year note at half the interest rate. He'll never see the money. And they asked him for the money, and they all thanked him, and it was a unanimous vote. and Sheriff Ford and the Fed said he was making out on it like a bandit. The money that he loaned them actually went to improve the drain water around the new home that Vicky Gaynor bought, the city manager. And James Finch is going to address that. But you can hear in his voice near the end that what they did to him, and I've never heard him say this or ever even seen him emotional at all, but you can hear that he's hurt by what they did to him. Watch.
James Finch.
James Finch, 410 East 2nd Street. This coming June, I'll be in this city 75 years. My family's been here well over 100. I love the city. I've been very good to this city. The city's always been good to me until the last few years. In the last few years, with Chief Ramie, when I had a stroke a week before the hurricane, I was in a coma. And when all of it took place, I was in a coma. And you know who knew that? I knew a year later that Ricky Ramie got in the ambulance with me when they took me to the hospital and flighted me to Tallahassee. Ricky Ramie knew that. And they all got around here and they say, James was running the show. James was doing this. James didn't even know where he was for 30 days. I was in there. When I come back, it was months before I got around. Come April, I turned them in, all of them for stealing. I had the mayor go to the sheriff, and they was stealing on that concession stand right out there. $190-something thousand bill for that concession stand. I called out Vicky Gaynor. Vicky Gaynor snarled up at me, and it's been that way ever since. I bought the fireworks for 35 years. I bought Halloween candy for 30 years. I've done everything I can for this city, but I'm not giving a dime since Vicky's been here, and I won't. But he was in there. He knowed I was in a coma, but the FBI told Vicky to keep an eye on me. She gets Ricky. They keep an eye on me. The FBI goes to Judy Tender and says, keep an eye on James. What the hell do they want to keep an eye on me for? I'm the only one who went to trial twice, not guilty, not one time. The $790,000 I loaned the city was what they charged me for. That's what I was on trial for. And Vicky Gaynor was the benefit of it. It was on Colorado Avenue. Chris Forehand, her, Michael White got me to loan the city $790,000. Approved in the commission meeting by Vicky Gaynor's leadership. Approved. She got the money. She got the benefit. I was in trial, and nobody from the city went over and said, we asked James for the money. James loaned us the money. I've written y'all letters, and I've signed my name to it. I carry my own water. I'm not calling nobody out that I won't call them out to their face. And I'm saying this city has been fractured more since Vicky's been in this seat than ever before in the 75 years I know of. And they talking about going forward. You can bring the churches up here if you want to. They only come when Vicky calls them. And that's bullshit. We need to go forward. Thank you.
Ask that you refrain your applause, please.
I ask that you refrain from your applause, please. Was that something? It's the craziest story ever. Craziest story ever. So now I'll show you. I made some public. You're gonna love the question that I asked. There's two questions that nobody's asked, and I went up there. You'll see, and asked them. I do want to tell you, those of you who don't want to miss a show, maybe you're not on Facebook. You don't want to miss the week recap. I do Substack right here. This is it. It's a free weekly email. Bernie.substack.com. It's free. Some of you, though, are nice enough to pay $8 a month or $80 a year just to say thank you. And you've been doing it and not getting anything extra. But those days are over. Okay. Those of you who get a paid subscription, you upgrade your free to a paid, or you go to bernie.substack.com. At least once a week, you, the paid subscribers, are going to receive behind the scenes video of what I do. Get a paid subscription at bernie.substack.com, and now you will get behind the scene videos emailed to your inbox, and you're liable to see just about anything. Whoa! Get out! Get out! Don't get out too fast. What's going on? So I've got less than 2 days to get it all together. I'm nervous because I've never done anything like this before. Nighttime and hot. Another red light. Yellow flies. He's dead.
Since might not count something.
Yes, that's what they are. They're like the great whites of the insect world.
Right on my arm.
Right on my arm, says my. All right, it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you funny stuff, serious stuff. When I'm anxious, trying to figure stuff out, the mistakes. Anyway, that's here. If you want it, bernie.substack.com. Woo, it's going to be worth it. All right, let's take a look at. I had a chance to go up there, and I asked 2 questions that I haven't heard anybody else ask. I'm making the long walk up. Bernie Thompson, 8317 Front Beach Road. I'm going to keep this really quick because of all the good people sitting for so long. I just have 3 things. First of all, I've been so frustrated that nobody I haven't seen bring up the victim. And this is just drives me crazy. Has anybody reached out to John Shea Jones? John Shea Jones is the one who got hurt here, not physically, but his mercury is tore up because your police chief crashed into it and took off. And if it wasn't for the good man in the Hemi who caught him, we never would have known this. And if I hadn't published it, you never would have known this. Number two, if you read the FHP report, and I know y'all have, Ricky Ramie, the chief of police, lied to the FHP officer. It's indicated in the report. The FHP report says that Mr. Ramey's description of what happened did not match the video. Now, if I did that or you did that, maybe not you because you have political privilege, but if most of us did that, we would be charged with interfering with an investigation. I had a judge call me and ask me why. He said, I don't know, ask FHP. These are serious things. These are not hate, but it's a real big deal. And he didn't even get charged for that. That backpack. The backpack that the FBI, and I saw in testimony, I was there in the federal courtroom. I saw, Ms. Gaynor, I saw your testimony. I saw everybody's testimony. Ricky Ramie had a backpack that he got from Michael White with $30,000 in it after Michael White was arrested. And then finally, he was removed or he resigned.
Vicky's going to get some
a week after that, Ricky Ramie shows a backpack with 30 grand. Have you guys seen 30 grand? If you come across a backpack, I want you to know I lost one. If you'll put it in lost and found, don't open it. Just call me. Have you found the money, Mr. Mayor?
Look at them.
Anybody? There's 30 grand somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Bostic.
Boy, they don't seem terribly concerned that 30 grand was in a backpack last seen on April Fool's Day, believe it or not, in Sheriff Ford's office when Mayor Margo Anderson said, hey, Chief Ramie, will you go with me so I have a witness? I got a report on the fraudulent billing and the bilking of the city. And so Chief Ramie showed up before her and was sitting there. And when Mayor Anderson blew the whistle on corruption in 2019 on April Fool's Day, sitting next to her was Chief Ramie, and sitting across the desk was Sheriff Tommy Ford. And at that time, and this is in the FBI notes, you saw Mayor Anderson interviewed. I watched witness testimony in front of Judge Walker. And Chief Ramie pulls up a backpack a week after City Manager Michael White resigned after he had pulled a gun on his wife, a gun incidentally given to him out of the evidence locker by Chief Ricky Ramie. He pointed the gun, Michael White pointed the gun at his wife's head. Now, Chief Ramie gave his boss, Michael White, in 2019, a .40 caliber handgun out of the evidence locker after Michael White had suicidal thoughts that Chief Ramie was very concerned about. He still gave him a gun. Here, bro. That's the gun that Michael White pointed at his wife's head. And but I saw Michael White tell the jury it wasn't loaded. So then there's that. But that 30 grand was last seen in Sheriff Ford's office. Where's the 30 grand? There's no curiosity. The FBI raked Commissioner Antonius Barnes. The FBI, after they had spent $30 million prosecuting this case, however much they spent, not just the Justice Department, but the court, everybody, how much was spent on this investigation? 30 million? It's probably a low ball. And the FBI was going over that Antonius Barnes had spent $14 at O'Charlie's or $56 at Best Buy. That's what the FBI was doing. Meanwhile, there's 30 grand. Mickey White, who's in prison, said it was 173 grand, but it might have only been 30 by the time I got to the sheriff's office. Did the sheriff put that in evidence? Where's the money? I'm the only human being on the planet asking the question. FBI, have you found it? I did ask Major Jimmy Stanford. He called me one day. He was very mad at me. It was after they raided the house, surrounded my house and all that. He calls me out of the blue, and I answered because I had been working with them, not in official capacity, but I thought they were going to do something about all the stuff they had. I told you they would 3-4 years ago. Anyway, a year and a half or so ago, Major Stanford called me, and he was mad at me. He was calling me a liar, and I said, he scares the crap out of me, by the way. I'm going to tell you right now. I do think he'll be the chief deputy. Now that Sheriff Ford has been reelected, I think that the current chief deputy, I'm guessing here, he's going to retire. And I believe Sheriff Ford will appoint Jimmy Stanford. Anyway, I asked Jimmy Stanford, I said, where did that, you told me that $16 million was kicked back from Ashbrit Inc. Ashbrit, the National Hauling and Disaster Relief Company, they subcontracted GAC contractors. The FBI, Sheriff's Office, everybody said that $16 million was kicked back from Ashbrit to Derwin White or GAC contractors. And I said, where did that money go? I mean, how come you guys never went after Ashbrit? And he said, it was spent, man. I mean, we got back some of the tractors and stuff. The hell of a lot of money. And Derwin White passed away tragically at the age of 55 of COVID in the hospital on July 31st of 2021. And 5 days later, the sheriff's office led the FBI, but the sheriff's office and the FBI, they raided JC contracts. They spent all day in there. They got a trove of evidence, all the evidence. And they put it in boxes. Even Judge Walker said, I didn't know the FBI put evidence in corruption in boxes. And they just put it under lock and key, and they never arrested anybody else. Isn't that crazy? So I understand that Derwin White died, but the money went to what GAC contractors are. And the company, the big national hauling company, Ashbrit Inc. Have you ever seen the Ashbrit anywhere? Ashbrit Inc. They kicked back $16 million. How come Ashbrit never got in trouble? Derwin White dies, and that means there's no more investigation. Well, sheesh, man, we almost had him. But then he just up and died on us. And I'm not making light of it. Look, Derwin was well loved too. Yeah, I think he was corrupt, but Derwin was well loved, and people loved him. And I'm not making light of his death. It was tragic. But geez, what happened? You know what I mean? All right. That was way too long telling you that story. How did I even get to that? All right. What? Please tell the public where you think that. I don't know where it is. I know where it last was seen, at Sheriff Ford's office with Chief Ramie on April Fool's Day of 2019. They had a backpack of $30,000. I don't know where the hell it is now. No clue. And this was about a week after Michael White resigned, after pointing the gun at his wife's head. Okay, I don't know where it is. Nobody will say. Nobody will ask. But they were all over Antonia's barns for $58. Here, there. I mean, it's unbelievable. The FBI. You'd think there are big crimes, 16 million to go get, but no. I got to get back to this. I really got to get back to this. So let's see. Let's get to the actual part where Jamie Warwick, Commissioner Warwick, looks like it's right about here.
Which is why I chose. Moving on to our consent agenda, approval of minutes.
Related to flood management.
All right, no comments from the public. Which is why I chose to censor the city manager.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles.
Now we're going to get to the
Yes. Commissioner Vandegrift.
to the proposed censure of City Manager Vicky Gaynor. Let's see what happens.
Yes. Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 12, discussion and possible approval to censor the city manager. Commissioner Ward? Yes, so first, thank you for allowing me to have this agenda item. I want everyone to understand what it means to censor someone. I will tell you, at one time, I was going to have an agenda item added for a vote of no confidence until I fully understood what this was and what censoring meant. A vote of no confidence is when you disapprove of multiple
I believe it's pronounced censure, but okay, let's go on.
actions or an individual's overall performance. It is normally the first step or the step to terminate someone. My goal here is not to fire the city manager, which is why I chose to censor the city manager. A vote to censor is just merely a formal statement of disapproval of one's action and is not intended to contribute to the removal of the individual from the position. My decision is not based solely on the incident that happened at Newbies. I understand that people make bad decisions, and what I'm not trying to accomplish is making a one-mistake workforce in your terminated culture. Let me repeat that. I'm not trying to accomplish in making a one-mistake workforce in your terminated culture. I'm sure every one of us can tell you a story when we made bad decisions in our life. My decision is based on the Newbie incident and prior incidents where Ricky Ramie has shown unethical behavior and bad judgment, which has caused me to question his ability to effectively lead as a police chief. My goal was not to attack Ramie and his prior history. I appreciate his hard work and service to our city, such as what the city manager discussed earlier, the accreditation of the Lynn Haven Police Department, which I understand is no easy feat, and it's a big deal. I have no doubt that Ramie is knowledgeable at his job and knows how to perform it well. I wish that he had made the right decision to resign, or the city manager made the right decision to terminate him. However, since neither took place, I feel it has left me no choice but to do the right thing and push for his resignation. I understand the commission wanted to wait until the outcome of Ramie's criminal charge was determined. In my opinion, didn't need to wait based on what the HR attorney said during our workshop. However, they haven't been vocal about their own opinion on the situation. This is one reason why it's important to add an agenda item for a vote to censor the city manager. I want it on record how each commissioner voted. I also would like them to explain what makes Ramie the best person to fill the police chief position, why his past history doesn't dictate his resignation or termination, and what their expectations are of the police chief. Can you pull up my presentation, Harold? So I want to go through a few things. And the first 4 facts that I'm going to go over, I have sat down and discussed with the city manager. And she agrees in every one of these situations, Chief Ramie made a bad judgment call. The first one, obviously, we are all aware of the 3 civil citations that happened back on 30 December 2023. Can you play the YouTube video, please?
Can I pause for a moment? Commissioner
Sure.
Ward, this is a motion to censure the city manager. Are you
Correct.
building a case against Vicky or against the chief?
It's my disagreement with Vicky Gaynor's decision on her actions. I felt like the decision she made on this was not strong enough. And so I want people to understand why I don't think it was strong enough.
Up to y'all. This is his motion. I wanted to clarify, it does need to be about Vicky and not about Ricky.
It does need to be about Vicky and not about Ricky. Look, I'm not going to give away my source, but I had a text message after this from somebody who knows, okay? He said, wow, the city attorney told a commissioner that he can't talk about that? Look, you commissioners, talk about what you believe in your official capacity needs to be talked about. That attorney right there, I have nicknamed her Amy Whiteout Myers because she gave the FBI a copy of a plat, all right, in the low water area. The FBI asked for the plat in 2021-ish. And she gave him, the FBI agent, special agent, a copy of the plat that was altered. She knew it was altered. Her previous notes show that. I went to the Panama, she was the city manager, city attorney in Panama City Beach. During the meeting, I asked her if she denies it. She did not deny. Nobody denied that Amy Whiteout Myers gave the FBI an altered copy of a plat. And she has the nerve to tell any commissioner what they can and can't say. Well, it's because she's in the protection racket, obviously, but she's got no ground to stand on.
I mean, the only way to get there is for me to explain how I got that
to
that conclusion. So that's why
you don't have to answer to her.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay.
So I guess her question is, are you explaining to us or are you explaining to the public?
Everybody.
It's the commission's action here to make if you're going
Right.
to censor or not. So you need to make your case to the commission.
Right, I am.
Man, unreal.
You play the video, please.
There you
Say I do have one more question. I know this one, the criminal one's still open, but then the civil citations, right? And as I think Commissioner Peebles have brought it up about, we're holding the police department heads to a higher standard, especially the police chiefs, since they're the enforcement of the law. And if someone got civil citations, but then not just the civil citations, but other reasons that might have brought negative publicity to the city, it could, gosh, I can't remember the question I had, but that could be a viable reason to terminate somebody.
It could be, yes,
Right.
that would be within the discretion of the city manager to make that determination.
So he does have civil citations that he has paid, and there have been prior actions to this that have bring negative light to the city, and us as the commission could take action on that.
That's a complicated analysis. First of all, yes, there have been prior citations. I've not personally verified that they've been paid. I've got no reason to dispute that. I just don't know that as a fact. When we're looking at off-duty conduct, and I think what you're alluding to is it's generally referred to as conduct unbecoming a government official.
Right.
Yes, that can be a bona fide avenue to take disciplinary action, but off-duty conduct has to be more scrutinized than on-duty conduct. But yes, it could theoretically be, and again, that would be within the management discretion of your city attorney.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, your city manager.
Right. Thank you. Actually, I do have one more question. So when we, as I looked at these, the criminal one's still open, our employee, the civil citations, right? And when you look at 101 Ethics Code, if you could bring that up, Harold. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read what I feel pertains to this situation. As integral members of the City of Lynn Haven's team, employees are expected to accept certain responsibilities, adhere to acceptable business principles and matter of personal conduct, and exhibit a high degree of personal integrity at all times. This not only involves sincere respect for the rights and feelings of others, it also demands that in both your business and personal life, you refrain from any behavior that might be harmful to you, your coworkers, or the City of Lynn Haven, or that might be viewed unfavorably by current or potential members or by the public at large. Whether you are on or off duty, your conduct reflects on the City of Lynn Haven. You are consequently encouraged to uphold the highest standards of professionalism at all times. The following are guidelines that may assist employees in determining appropriate behavior and conduct. How would the situation look for me in the city? All employees must conform to ethical and legal standards to abide by the law and to preserve the City of Lynn Haven's integrity and reputation. Failure to adhere to this policy may result in disciplinary action up to and including discharge from employment. The next thing I want to bring up is back on 15 April and 18 April 2018. Richard Ramie made vulgar text referencing past City Commissioner Judy Tinder or her significant other. This came out after the federal indictment evidentiary hearing on 12 December 2022. Richard Ramie received a reprimand by City Manager Vicky Gaynor on 21 December 2022. I know someone had brought this up before about how we're continually trying to take down the police chief or trying to fire him. I will tell you at this time, when we talked about this at the commission meeting, I did not push to have Ramie fired. I had a long conversation with the HR attorney, and I had good reasons that he should not have. And I believe that the city made the right decision and not fire him at this time and reprimanded him. One of the other things I'd like to add is we as a commission received some additional information on these texts. I don't know.
Notice that Mayor Nelson appears to me to be text messaging. Mayor Nelson, I mean, he might as well have, I was going to say AirPods in, but I don't want, to be surrounded. So I can't say, AirPods. But, he might as well just be, look at him. No interest at all in what's being said. Watch.
He used a different medium to respond to Michael White. But when you read them, the thing that bugged me was you can tell that him and Michael White had an improper relationship. And I understand that a city manager and police chief or fire chief or the department heads.
See, Mayor Nelson's left-handed. And look, the truth is Mayor Nelson is the face. Sheriff Tommy Ford wanted him in there. And that's why they ripped out Margot Anderson on 64 complete bullshit charges. They wanted Nelson in there. They got Nelson. Nelson's been meeting with the sheriff's campaign manager, Arthur Cullen, just all the time. And he's being told, and I'll bet you, now these are public records. If he's text messaging during this meeting at this time, I can't do everything. I'm not going to send a public record request for the mayor's text messages at this time. But somebody should send city manager Vicky Gaynor an email. It's very simple. Just ask for public records of text messages to and from any cell phone that Mayor Nelson has during this portion of the meeting. And if they don't give them to you, they're liable for that. Now, they may not, they may lie, but I promise you these will be uncovered. But it looks to me like he's texting. He's a lefty.
They typically have a pretty strong relationship since they work closely together. But there comes a certain point where you go over the line and you have an improper relationship.
If I was Commissioner Warwick, I would ask publicly, I'd say, Mayor Nelson, are you text messaging right now? And who are you texting? And may I please get it? Same with Sam Peebles. I believe that Commissioner Sam Peebles is a decent guy. Not necessarily courageous, but a decent guy. But somebody should call him out on this. This is not right.
Such as going over, having parties and things like that. Now, I put more of that responsibility on Michael White since that's his superior, but at that time, I feel Ricky Ramie should have known better. And if you keep going, there's his reprimand. And then the third thing I want to bring up was back on 10 May 2021, Richard Ramie made a Facebook post with Ellen Fields' police records from Spokane, Washington, while she was in a runoff race for mayor.
Wow.
He made the comment, "We have been through enough in Lynn Haven, and if this is what we have to hold in the future as a mayor, may we all come to our senses and realize we need to move forward, not backwards. Please make informed decisions as you vote."
Chief Ramie also broke the law. WMBB did an interview in Chief Ramie's office while Chief Ramie was in uniform. Wow. He condemned the candidate against Nelson. And I talked to the sheriff's office about this. I talked to them, number 2 and number 3. We were talking all the time. And they said it was a close call, but the sheriff said, no go. Yeah, I just said that. He broke the law. Now, here's the crazy thing. When you go back and look at that story and watch WMBB's video, WMBB edited that part out. The video, last I checked, was still there, but the part of him in his office endorsing Nelson and condemning Ellen Fields, the candidate, and I believe it was 2020, that part was edited out by WMBB, who is complicit in the scheme.
Again, when I talked to Ms. Gaynor about this, she said it was improper. I talked to, well, let me read the social media policy first. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, just going to read what pertains to this. It says, any such conduct that adversely affects or may be viewed as adversely affecting past or present City of Lynn Haven citizens, employees, management, or City Commission members will result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Employees shall not participate in any social media or electronic communication media that can be perceived as critical of the City of Lynn Haven, its policies, management, and operations, past or present City Commission members, employees, or citizens. And if you notice in parentheses, it said shall be collectively referred to as City of Lynn Haven entities. So when you read this and they refer to City of Lynn Haven entities, they mean past or present City Commission members, employees, or citizens. Any use of social media that creates a negative perception of any City of Lynn Haven entity may be grounds for discipline up to and including termination. Employees must always be fair and courteous to each other and all City of Lynn Haven entities. The posting of complaints or criticism, statements, photographs, video or audio that could be reasonably viewed as malicious, obscene, threatening, or...
I want to show you something. Look, I believe just watching these two, I was watching Jesse Nelson and he appeared to send a text and then his shifty eyes looks over at Gaynor just about 30 seconds ago. He was trying to get her attention. He finally did. He finally got her attention and she just grabbed her phone and looked at it. I believe that Jesse Nelson is texting back and forth with Vicky Gaynor right now. Somebody needs to send a public record request for this. Watch this. Watch Mayor Nelson's shifty eyes. See those shifty eyes right there? He's finally going to get her attention. Watch.
Again, when I talked to Ms. Gaynor about this,
look, he's trying to get her attention.
Proper.
He wants her to look at her phone.
Well, let me read the social media policy first.
Look.
And I'm not going to read the whole thing, just going to read what pertains to this.
It
says any such conduct that adversely affects or may be viewed as adversely affecting past or present City of Lynn Haven citizens, employees, management, or City Commission members will result in disciplinary action.
Look at him. He's tapping his phone. Look at Vicky.
Employees shall not participate in any social media or electronic communication media that can be perceived.
I'll bet you he's looking. Watch.
As critical of the City of Lynn Haven, its policies, management, and operations, past or present City Commission members, employees,
you got her attention now. No, not yet.
If you notice in parentheses, it said shall be collectively referred to as City of Lynn Haven entities. So when you read this and they refer to City of Lynn Haven entities, they mean past or present City Commission members, employees, or citizens. Any use of social media that creates a negative perception of any City of Lynn Haven entity may be grounds for discipline up to and including termination. Employees must always be fair and courteous to each other and all City of Lynn Haven
grab
entities.
Her phone.
The posting of complaints or criticism, statements, photographs, video or audio that could be reasonably viewed as malicious, obscene, threatening, or intimidating that disparage City of Lynn Haven entities will not be tolerated.
She does not.
Examples of such conduct might include offensive posts that may harm someone's
Now look at her. She's angry. Oh, wow.
And then, of course, you have the ethics codes that I believe falls in line with this. The fourth thing I want to bring up is Two candidates who were running for office back in early 2021 were told they would need a peddler's permit to canvass neighborhoods, letting residents know they were running for office. Mark Anderson from Bay County Supervisor of Elections had to get involved, who had a discussion with city manager and Ricky Ramie about this. After involving the city attorney, it was determined that a peddler's permit was not required. I remember this very well.
Look, she just indicated to him to check his phone. Watch Vicky Gaynor indicate to Nelson. This is a big deal. Watch. I'm going to be so disappointed if 10 public record requests for this communication is not made. Watch.
Residents know they are
She's
running
gonna
for office.
notify him.
Mark Anderson from Bay County Supervisor of Elections had to get involved, who had a discussion with city manager.
She's
and
trying to
Ricky
get his
Ramie about
attention.
this. After involving the city attorney, it was determined that a peddler's permit was not
Oh,
required.
yep. You see that?
I remember this very well
Wow.
because I'm one of the individuals that was involved in that. I remember when this first started, it was me and Brian Gray were running for office, and he was in the hammocks, and someone called the police on him. The police
The meeting occurred tonight.
came out and told him that he could not go door to door and he had to leave. He called me, and when he called me, I told him that was wrong because I already researched all this as far as, I wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing. I was doing everything legal, the do's and don'ts, things like that. So at the very next commission meeting, me and Brian Gray went to the next commission meeting, and after the commission meeting was over, me and Brian Gray approached Chief Ramie and discussed it with him. And I told him the way I understood it when I looked at the Lynn Haven Municipal Code, if you're not selling a product or a service, you are not required to get a peddler's permit. And this was his answer. His answer was, but you're selling yourself. Wow. And I was like, well, actually, there's a Supreme Court case about this. And I tried to explain it to him, and as soon as I started to explain it to him, I could tell I hit a nerve, and he was pretty upset with me.
He's talking about when he was a candidate. They tried to keep, now you see why, they tried to keep Jamie Warwick out of office, and city manager Vicky Gaynor, look at her face, and Chief Ricky Ramie, who were both working with the FBI to oust Margo Anderson. Okay? They both were saying you had to get a peddler's license to knock on doors and ask for people's votes. And Supervisor of Elections Mark Anderson had to call the city and tell them, that's not true, knock it off. Ricky Ramie was threatening to arrest people for knocking on doors and running for office. That's what he's talking about.
And pretty much told me, I'm not going to stand here and argue with you about this. And I just kind of changed the conversation. I said, no, it's not like that. We just don't want to get in trouble. And so I thought about it, and I thought, because there was another police officer there when we were discussing that, and there was other people walking around. So I said, well, maybe because that environment, and both of us approached him, maybe that's why I got a little defensive. So I approached him and I said, you mind if we have a sit down one-on-one? He said, yeah, no problem. So I had a sit down one-on-one, discussed it with him, and still couldn't change his mind on that. He told me, I don't think you're going to have any problems. I said, I just don't want to get in trouble. He goes, no, I don't think you'll have any issues. Sure enough, that weekend, someone called the cops on me. Cops came out. One came out first and then the second one a little bit later. And
look at Vicky again. Look at City Manager Vicky Gaynor trying to get Jesse Nelson, the mayor's attention. Watch these two.
They were very professional with me, very nice, very courteous. And they asked me what I was doing. And I explained to them, I'm just going door to door, letting everyone know I'm running for election. And she goes, do you have a permit? And I kindly explained to her that I don't require a permit because I'm not selling anything. And she's like, yeah, you need a permit. I don't fault her for that because she was just doing what she was directed to do. And they were, like I said, they're both very courteous. We actually had a really good conversation, and that was pretty much it. And I went home, and I was a little distraught because I felt this was part of my bread and butter in getting elected into office.
Yep.
And so first thing Monday morning, I called Mark Anderson and I explained to him what was going on. And he goes, the city doesn't want to do that, because if they do, it'll be all over the news and they don't want that. And he kindly told me, you know what my responsibilities are? And he went down the line. And he goes, you know what my responsibility is not? My responsibility is not to get people to the polls. That's why you have to be able to go door to door. And if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for him getting involved, I wouldn't have been able to go door to door. And so if you keep scrolling, Harold, there's the Supreme Court case. It's the Watchtower Bible and tract.
This is actually a big deal. I know, you'd rather see somebody up there yelling and screaming maybe, but you understand that the local cartel tried to prevent candidates, Brian Gray and Jamie Warwick as a candidate, from knocking on doors and asking for votes. And everybody up here, including City Attorney Amy Whiteout Myers, who gave a falsified document to the FBI, and the FBI didn't do shit about it. They're all up there like, geez, man, stop droning on about this. Let's move on. Are you out of your minds? This is a damn big deal.
Society in New York Incorporated versus Village of Stratton. This is the one I was trying to tell them about. And facts of the case is the Village of Stratton promulgated an ordinance that prohibits canvassers from entering private residential property to promote any cause without first obtaining a permit from the mayor's office. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York Incorporated, a congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses that publish and distribute religious materials, brought into action for injunctive relief, alleging that the ordinance violates their First Amendment rights to the free exercise of religion, free speech, and freedom of the press. The district court upheld most provisions of the ordinance as valid, content-neutral regulations. The Court of Appeals affirmed, concluding that the village's interest in protecting its residents from fraud and its desire to prevent criminals from posing as canvassers in order to defraud its residents were sufficient basis on which to justify the regulation. The question, does a municipal ordinance that requires a permit prior to engaging in the door-to-door advocacy of a political cause and display upon demand of a political cause and to display upon demand the permit which contains one's name violate the First Amendment protection according to anonymous pamphleteering or discourse? And they came up with the conclusion in an 8-to-1 vote opinion delivered by Justice John Paul Stevens. The court held that the ordinance's provisions make it a misdemeanor to engage in door-to-door advocacy without first registering with the mayor and receiving a permit violates the First Amendment as applies to religious proselytizing, anonymous political speech, and the distribution of handbills. The court reasoned that the village's interest in preventing fraud could not support the ordinance's application to the religious organization, to political campaigns, or to enlisting support for unpopular causes. Dissenting Chief Justice William H. Rehnquist argued that the court decision deprives Stratton residents of the degree of accountability and safety that the permit requirement provides. And then the next thing, just an incident report showing when they were called out.
Wow.
I just felt like that was another.
Do you see that, Chief Ramie? There is a CAD, that is a computer assisted dispatch incident report. There was an investigation. Bernie, it was just a service call. Okay. Wow. For knocking on doors and asking for votes. That's Vicky Gaynor and Ricky Ramie, the witnesses for the FBI.
Bad decision by Chief Ramie, and if I really wanted to push the issue, I could have. But thankfully, Mark Anderson came to my rescue. And the last thing, and this one, Ms. Gaynor will probably disagree with me on, but a police officer who was fired by Panama City Police Department for accessing privileged information was hired with advice and consent from Richard Ramie. Approximately 2 to 3 days later, a district state attorney served this police officer with a Brady letter, and his employment with the Lynn Haven Police Department was terminated. And I had talked to Ms.
Just so you know what a Brady letter is. let's say you are arrested and you are actually being prosecuted, okay? And you know that the prosecutors have exculpatory evidence, evidence that shows that you didn't do this. The prosecutors or the police, if they didn't give it to the prosecutors, the government is mandated by law, obviously, to turn over all evidence, even evidence that shows you didn't do it. That when you are in that situation, your defense attorney submits a Brady letter. It comes from a case law. And that letter says, look, they've got evidence that they're not giving us. I can't defend myself without this exculpatory evidence. So this officer withheld exculpatory evidence, trying to maliciously prosecute somebody. And Chief Ricky Ramie said, is cool in the gang. It's just fine. Bring him on.
Gaynor about that before I talked about the first four. And what she explained to me was they had talked to the Panama City police chief. He had a lot of great things to say about the police officer, and that he didn't want to fire him, but felt like he had no choice but to fire him because of the situation that they were in. And she also said that they talked to Larry Bassford, the district state attorney, and they basically let her know that, or they implied that they weren't going to give a Brady letter. To me, whether he was going to get a Brady letter or not is irrelevant. He should have never been hired in the first place. And I think that's another indication of a bad judgment call. Next thing I want to talk about is employment at will. What is employment at will?
Jamie, I would recommend a cogent and concise and energetic argument next time, please.
All employees who do not have a separate
But God bless you for being the only one doing the right thing.
individual written employment contract for a specific fixed term of employment are employed at the will of the city of Lynn Haven and may be terminated by the city of Lynn Haven at any time for any reason with or without notice except as prohibited by law. The only people that I know of that are employed by contract is the city attorney and the city manager. Employees who don't have separate individual written employment contracts signed by the mayor or city manager of the city of Lynn Haven are employed at the will of the city of Lynn Haven and are subject to termination at any time for any reason with or without cause or notice except as prohibited by law. I think any reasonable person can look at all these and question whether he should be in his position or not. Looking at all these issues, I don't understand how anyone can look at this and believe Ramie should not be terminated. I don't understand how one person has become so untouchable. It's bizarre to me.
It's not bizarre when you understand mutual assured destruction, okay? Chief Ramie had a backpack of $30,000 last seen in Sheriff Ford's office on April Fool's 2019. No one knows where the damn money went. And it was $173,000 before it got to the sheriff, according to Mickey White. Okay. Vicky Gaynor and Ricky Ramie and all of these people in this little club, they had the goods on each other. If one of them gets pissed off, it's mutual assured destruction. They'll start telling on the other person. That's why nobody who actually did something illegal is getting held accountable. That's why, Jamie, it makes perfect sense when you understand that.
As a police chief, it comes with great authority and responsibilities. You cannot be outstanding in most areas. You must be outstanding in all facets of your job. Ricky Ramie knew this when he accepted the position, and his past history shows that he hasn't met the standards set by the city. Why is this important? To reassure the public that their city is in good hands and feel confident that they will be treated fairly during enforcement of the law. It can also affect the morale, discipline, and effectiveness of our police force. The police chief position is a unique key leadership position that not just anyone can fulfill. Because of these reasons, I believe he is not the best person to fulfill this position. The actions taken on Ramie don't match his infractions, and he should have been terminated. My opinion, if you vote no on this, you just prove my point that Ramie is in fact untouchable. Out of everything we have voted on in this commission, resolutions, ordinances, development orders, budgets, utility rates, and millage rates, I believe this will be the most memorable vote and the most talked about as our tenure as commission. Believe it or not, we are writing history of Lynn Haven by your action or lack of action on this matter. When I look back on this, I want to be able to look in the mirror and know that I did everything I could to represent the citizens of Lynn Haven and ensure the city took the appropriate actions. I ask you, what side of history do you want to be on? I personally want to be on the side of right. Thank you.
City Manager, do you have any response to that?
Mayor, Chief is a employee just like the other 200 employees that we have. We have employees that we reprimand several times for different things. But what I do not do is go back 2 years and fire them for something that they did 2 years ago. That's something that I know that we have grace, and surely I'm going to show my employees grace. Chief has done a very good job, but Chief is not untouchable.
I mean, this is crazy. Remember, Vicky Gaynor is a witness for the FBI who wrongfully prosecuted James Finch, and they were talking about a 2015 contract. They were going back to 2015. And what did they say Finch did that was wrong? He loaned the city nearly $1 million. I think it turned out to be more than that. At half an interest rate, a unanimous vote. They all thanked him. And that money was used, some of that money was used to fix drainage at the new home city manager Vicky Gaynor got with inside knowledge that that was going to be a benefit of buying in that area. They were going back to 2015. They were going back to like 2017. And she's talking about, I'm not going to go back to 2022, for God's sake. This is just, see, I know what they're doing, so it makes sense, but it's absurd. It's so dumb.
It's the right thing to do. And no one can tell me different. That is the right thing to do. I serve a God who is able,
Oh, geez, here we go.
and you can go talk to him. But I know what is the right thing to do.
This is the woman who told the FBI, who lied to the FBI, and told her I was on James Finch's payroll during his trial. That's what she told the FBI. James Finch never, and I know they know because they looked. I'm sure they looked. And nobody ever asked me about it. So I had to investigate myself. Do you remember that? I told you all about it. Vicky Gaynor told the FBI that. And she lied about the Beacon of Bay County, lied to the FBI. And they put my name in a 302 investigation note. And they put the Beacon of Bay County and Christy McElroy, Jody Moore, Jerry Parker, because Vicky Gaynor told the FBI lies. There's two people up there that I know for sure have lied to the FBI. City attorney with the altered document of the plat, and Vicky Gaynor several times. I watched her. Judge Walker. Completely opposite. The 302 said she walked in on city manager Michael White having sex with the female lady. And then she told Judge Walker that was not true. The female lady was just slouched over on his lap. And nobody did anything. Everybody said, oh, I'm thinking, like, is that better? Is she conscious? This is, I mean, man, at least everybody knows now that these guys, here's what gets me is that the FBI and the Justice Department love being lied to, because I actually think they wrote the narratives and said, sign off on it, you won't get in trouble. But, you know, that's just what I think. How would I know?
I am so sorry that Commissioner Ward does not see it my way. And that's all right. As again, I said, we live in America and we can agree to disagree. But what we cannot do is when we disagree is bully,
Lie to the FBI.
retaliate,
Lie to the
say
FBI.
things that we shouldn't say to each other.
Lie to the
We
FBI.
accept our differences, we accept our opinions, and we move on. That's where I am. And so Chief Ramie has been given 25 days of suspension without pay. I think the commissioner said it on Friday. How many of us can live and lose $9,000 out of your paycheck in 1 month?
She leaves out that Chief Ramie has been, it makes what, well over $100,000. I mean, it's not, and Vicky, 30,000 minus 9 grand. That leaves 21 grand. These people, this is how you know narcissists and sociopaths, because they can look at you. It's like J.R. Ewing. You remember the old TV show Dallas, how easily he lied? Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? I mean, they lie that easily when it's verifiable.
This city will move on.
Crazy.
Whether, Commissioner Ward, I love you, but whether you agree with me or not, I just ask that you move on from this.
Ain't nobody moving on, Vicky. Ain't nobody moving on from the dirty low down. That's it. Nobody's moving on from the dirty low down. Just so you know. Ain't happening.
And allow the city to move forward.
From the dirty low down.
Thank you. Is there a motion for this?
Mayor, is it all right if we discuss this before the motion?
Okay.
Of course.
I just wanted to talk about it before we get like an official vote, because a yes and no does not give the whole story. So, first I want to say, Commissioner Work, I respect you. I respect everything that you brought. As always, you do your research and you bring your data. As you know, back to the labor attorney thing, this motion or potential motion coming forward is a censure of the city manager. And I was with you when we voted in the minority, when the commission voted 3-2 to push it forward, with the recommendation from the attorney. And so Vicky Gaynor was directed to do something by the commission. And she followed what the attorneys that the city has hired to do said. So I agree that we should have been notified earlier, and I agree that things could have been done better. I do feel overall that she did what the majority of the commission told her to do. And even though I voted in the minority, we would be going against the whole purpose of voting if she did something different. But what I also wanted to say was I've gotten more emails and more social media interaction over the past 2 days than I've gotten my entire tenure. And I'll say on the social media side, we'll just call it how it is. You had the social media side very heavily favored Chief Ramie not being the chief, but on the email side, I got more emails in favor of not censuring the city manager.
I'm going to tell you something very important now. Okay, this is super important. That was by design, because I've been in lawsuits against governments, okay? And one of the things they love to do is to tell the court, look, it's just Bernie and a bunch of crazies, right? We only got like 3 emails on it. We only got a smattering of emails. They are being coached by lawyers. Emails are important. I always tell you this. You should be, instead of typing in capital letters on Facebook, which I'm not saying is not important, but you should be sending an email so it's on record. So that can never be said. There are far more people who know that Ricky Ramie should be terminated, for God's sake. But you got to just take a break off Facebook and send an email to Vicky Gaynor. One sentence. Because all they do in court is count how many emails are for and against. They did that. And that was smart. Right? They've got strategy. We have passion. Got to use both.
Found is that as I talk to more and more people, that the issue at hand is the true issue at hand is people don't want Chief Ramie, the people that want him gone, don't necessarily, like some of the citizens said tonight, they don't necessarily want him fired. They just don't want him in the role of police chief. And so I kind of wanted to give some examples. So let's use Commissioner Vandergrift, for example. If she was over a school and her assistant principal brought negative publicity to the school and did certain infractions, most likely, I would imagine, would be that that individual would change roles. They would become a regular teacher again. They would not be fired, right? And then let's say
great, send some. Oh my God. Yeah, just put them over some kids. You know, they can't do anything about it. My God. Oh my God. If somebody brings shame and disrespect to you or just a few infractions, put them back in the classroom. The kids won't know.
Beef O'Brady's, he has a store manager that has brought negative publicity to Beef O'Brady's. Probably would not fire
Vicky Gaynor's
that employee,
texting again,
probably would move them to a different role
mayor.
that better suits someone that's ready for that specific role.
Trying to get it.
And then in the military, squadron commander. I've been in many squadrons where stuff like this has happened. They don't kick them out of the military. They remove their role as the squadron commander, allow them to keep their job, but they have returned, taken away some of their responsibility. And what I'm trying to say is, I think what I've gathered is when the city manager brought the punishment to me at first, I'm going to be honest, I was on board. I thought, okay, man, yeah, he's already paid tons of lawyer fees. I know that lawyers are not cheap, especially not Waylon Graham. And then on top of that, 25 days suspension. That's a lot. That would devastate me and my family if I.
You don't have a $30,000 backpack and you're not getting it. Oh my God. You have
Lost how much pay. Regardless of what my salary was, I budget month to month. So losing an entire month of salary, that's a lot of money. To me, that's not a slap on the wrist. Okay. But anyways, after that happened, I saw the feedback from everybody and I hear you. And what's really come to my attention is of course, there's going to be some people that disagree with this and other people that will, and some people that are fully on one side or fully on the other. But I think the consensus truly is that, as some of the citizens said tonight, it's not that we want Ricky Ramie to lose his retirement and fire. Sure, it would have been nice if he would have put in his resignation, but they're saying as a whole, we don't trust him as the role of the police chief. Not that we want him to be fired, lose all of.
Dude, he should not have a gun and a badge. How many crimes does he have to commit? How many people does he have to, the vulgar and vindictive police chief, have to wrongly put in jail? And then they're tortured for 4 or 5 months. And then the charges are dropped. And these guys are laughing about it in their naked pool parties. By the way, I only bring that up because if you want to have naked pool parties, just don't scare the horses. If you're all consenting grown adults, listen, man, you do your thing. Okay. I mean, I'm not one to mess up a good time. All right. But this was after the hurricane. Chief Ramie and Michael White, the city manager, they had a condo that was given to them gratis because they were supposed to be helping out the city. But just weeks after the hurricane, they were hurrying over the bridge while Mayor Anderson was on a golf cart actually suffering in her home that was torn up. trying to bring people water while these guys were going back and forth on text message, setting up the next naked pool party because they were partying in the condo while the people were suffering. That's why I bring it up. If it was last week, hey man, whatever. Bernie, don't clutch the pearls.
His pension, 30 plus years, however long he's been in the service. So what I am asking is if you would consider modifying this to where, rather than a censorship of the city manager, who I believe, even though I was in the minority of the vote, did what she believed she was told to do, modify the motion to just give a recommendation to the city manager to change the police chief's role as the police chief and allow him to keep his job.
Is that the motion you want to make?
I'm asking Commissioner Warwick if he's willing to modify it because it's his item.
Oh, I mean, is that how you feel, I guess is what I want to ask. Do you feel that he should be put in a different position?
If it was me, I would do the suspension and then I would have someone else have the leadership role, but I would allow him to keep his job.
Hold on a second. So even if we vote on that, we still don't make that decision.
Correct.
Right, it's a recommend.
Wait. Even if we make that recommendation, here's what's going to happen. We make that recommendation. She doesn't do it. The next meeting, y'all are going to be back trying to censor her again. So let's just deal with item number 12.
Hey, Jesse, that's not going away, dude. You do understand. I mean, James Finch's lawsuit. I mean, there are lawsuits, man. You think this is going away? You guys have ruined people's lives. They think this is going away.
Which is the censoring of the city manager. Because everyone has made their recommendations before. We're here because she has not followed a particular commissioner's recommendation or a couple of commissioners' recommendations. I don't know. As you mentioned, y'all were in the minority. So to modify this, to give her direction to demote Chief Ramie, and then as city attorney has told us, that's not in our purview to give her direction on how to handle an employee. So we can't even vote on that, or we shouldn't be even trying to vote on that because that's not within the power of the commission.
Okay, so first of all, there's no y'all. Okay.
When I say y'all, you're the one making the recommendation.
Yeah, but that's what I said was.
So let's go back to number.
Just let me finish.
Let's go back to number 12 because there's no need to continue the discussion on demoting Chief Ramie because that's not in our purview as a commission.
But that's not what I said. I said make the recommendation.
It's not even our purview to make the recommendation to do that.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Can I interrupt real quick? I just want to say one thing. I think I agree with you because when we all have one-on-ones with Commissioner Gaynor or Ms. Gaynor, that was the time for us to express our feedback, give her feedback, and give our opinion of what should or should not happen.
Correct.
I think that's fair.
Right, but we represent the city, and the city saw what happened, and they had feedback to that.
City attorney.
It's no different than when we make a motion and then we have public commentary.
City attorney.
You can direct her to take an action, but it's null and void because it is outside of your authority. It's not binding on her.
So that's what I'm saying. We can direct her, but she still doesn't have to follow that direction per se because that's dealing, because we've talked about that before. I mean, like I think it was either with Dave Marcy, it was Commissioner Ward brought that up before. Can we direct her to do that? And then what happens if she doesn't do that? Yeah. So that's how we got to the censoring. Because that's not in our purview to and do you remember who you asked about that, Commissioner Ward? I don't remember which.
What's that?
Do you remember which attorney you asked that question about giving her direction on? I don't know if that was the labor attorney, if that was Amy or Kevin.
I believe it was Ms. Myers.
Okay.
Because I didn't get much communication with the other one.
I think that was maybe a pre-commission meeting when we discussed that. Okay.
Well, here's what I'll say. It sounds like to me, if I understand you correctly, Commissioner Peebles, if that's how you truly feel, then you don't agree with the decision that Ms. Gaynor said, that Ms. Gaynor has done.
It's not a simple yes or no, though. That's the point I'm trying to get at.
But I understand that, but our vote is going to be yes or no. That's what our vote is going to be. So is there a motion to censor City Manager Vicky Gaynor? Is there a motion for that?
I make a motion to censor city manager.
Is there a second?
Oh, the drama. Oh, the drama. It's a good time for me to thank a sponsor. It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan can make sure your air conditioning.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right. How about that? I also want to just say thank you to those of you who throw a tip in the tip jar, as you know, at Patreon, patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. Without crowdfunding, I could not do this. Thank you, Bernie.Thompson. I'm sorry, patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's anonymous, it's easy, and you can quit anytime. And of course, as always, thank you to the unknown patriot for your support. All right, let's get to the vote. Waiting for a second.
Is there a second for this motion?
Let's see. What do you think?
Motion dies for lack of second. Moving on to agenda item number 13, discussion and possible approval of resolution 2024-07-435.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And so now Mayor Nelson thinks, thank goodness we don't have to talk about this anymore. Oh boy. I got a feeling it's not going to die. I got a feeling people are just getting started, is what I think. But we'll see. All right, that's it. Long show. I will see you next time. Got lots for you. Thanks for being with me.